Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the launch event for the Informatics Training Scheme for 2021, which is run by Translation Manchester. My name is Alessandro, and I'm Translation and Research Manager at the University, managing Translation Manchester. Together with me in the panel today are Lloyd Gregory, the Operational Lead of the Translational Partnership Award that funds this scheme, Jim Moore, Translation Research Coordinator, who was going to organize this event and made it possible. So thank you, Jim. I know you're disguised as Translation Manchester today, but we really appreciate all the hard work going through organizing this event. And last but not least, Mudassar Iqbal. Mudassar is lecturer in health data sciences in the School of Health Sciences and academic lead for the Informatics Training Scheme. So the event today is really about giving you a brief introduction to Translation Manchester and the Informatics Training Scheme, which is now running for the third consecutive year. Then Mudassar will give you an overview of the units on offer within the scheme, which hopefully will help you decide what to apply for. We'll then have a very brief testimonial from one of the previous participants. So that might inform you on the type of commitment that is required today for this scheme, and also on the benefits of taking part. And then at the end, we will have a question and answer session. We have some questions from you already submitted during the registration stage. We also have some questions that we frequently asked. Hopefully some of them will be already answered with the presentation, but also we invite you to make use of the Q&A function in Zoom to ask questions during the presentation, so that at the end we can answer them. If Jim, you want to give a little bit of overview on how to use those functions on Zoom, that would be great.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm sure everyone here is sort of familiar with webinars and Zoom meetings now, but just so everyone's aware, you don't have to worry about being muted or anything like that, as it's only panelists who can talk verbally. But down at the bottom of the screen, you'll have a few different options. So you'll have a chat box. If you could use that for if you need to get in touch with us, if you're having any technical issues or anything like that, or just want to make any general comments. You'll have a Q&A button. That's where we would like people to submit any questions they have about the specific questions about the scheme or any of the units or anything like that, and then we'll come to those questions in the Q&A. When questions are added into that box, the Q&A function, you'll start to see next to the question a little thumbs up. So if you were already going to ask that question, or you want to know the answer to that, rather than you submitting it again, you can just click that thumbs up and it'll go towards the top of the list. So we'll get to that one first. The only other option you should have is raise hand, but I doubt we're going to use that much, but we might use it just to get a show of hands for anything. But otherwise, it'll just be the Q&A and chat box.
Fantastic. Thanks, Jim, for running us through that. So without further ado, let's get started with the presentation. So Translation Manchester and Translation Research, just so we give a little bit of background on this. As you probably all know, translation research is the process by which basic scientific discoveries are translated into patient-focused research that will improve healthcare and well-being within society. And Translation Manchester is it's been established back in 2008 to support that process and help discoveries at Manchester to reach impact and to be deployed within the healthcare system in the NHS or to be commercialized. Translation Manchester is funded by the Wellcome Trust Translational Partnership Award. So this is an award that is given to the University of Manchester and other universities across the institution, the UK and abroad. We were one of the first institutions to receive that. And as a result of that, we can respond flexibly and effectively to specific bottlenecks that arise in our own university, one of which, as I will show you in a second, is expertise in bioinformatics and biostatistics. So we did exactly that. When the award was given to the university, we asked our researchers, what is the bottleneck that is stopping you from progressing your research in the translational pathway? And as you can see from this graph to the right, the second greatest bottleneck was access to bioinformatics and biostatistics support. So as a result of that, this scheme was established. So this, as I mentioned before, this is the third year we run this in a row. And it's a great opportunity for researchers at all levels to get access to units within PGT courses in the School of Health Sciences and Biological Sciences in the area of bioinformatics and biostatistics. So those are master courses or PG cert courses that the university runs. So there is real students in it already. But what we do is we cover the fees for academics from each level, from PhD student to professor, to go and attend a couple of units within those courses that are relevant to their research. And we cover the fees for that via the Translational Partnership Award. So we allow all participants to select up to 2 units. And if you look at those numbers to the right, when we started, we were offering a total of 60 units, which increased to 24 last year. And this year we have a few more units actually. So I think it's up to 27 units on offer. And we are also increasing the number of awardees that we get into our scheme. So from 25 people in 2019 to 46 in 2020, and we expect this year to be a similar number of places awarded. And since they can all do up to 2 courses, this is the number of units that we've been funding in the last couple of years. So who can apply to this scheme? As I mentioned just a minute ago, anyone really that has a role in translational research. We want to fund anyone from PhD student to professor, research technician. And the main point is that the knowledge that they will acquire through these units is beneficial to them as a researcher and to the translational research that they perform. The only eligibility rule that is very important is that obviously you are at the university for as long as the course run. So that's why in the application form, you will have seen a box to tick if you are around for the next year. So that's for us to monitor the outcome of the scheme and also to make sure that when the course runs, you're still at the university. So how does the application procedure work? So it's very simple. You visit that page that is linked there is our training page relative to the informatics scheme. We suggest you to read the terms and conditions. And then you can download the brochure, which is also available on the same link, in which all the units will be listed, some of which we will go into more detail today. And then you need to return that completed form at our inbox, which is translation@manchester.ac.uk by the application deadline, which is at 5 p.m. on the 11th of August. So there is just below a month to get all that done. And this is just to highlight that we will require for you to fill in a short report at the end of your experience, but this will be an online form, which shouldn't take much to fill in, but it's very important to us. So we invite you to reply promptly when asked to fill that in. So how do we select successful applicants? There is just 3 questions in the application form, and they have about 150 word limit each. And what we want to see is that there is relevance to translational research. So we ask you a background on the research project, as you can see in the first question, and it has to be relevant to translational research. It doesn't matter at which stage of translation it is, but we want to see some sort of relevance. And also, we want to see that the skills that you will be acquiring will be beneficial for your research project to shift within that pathway that I will show you actually in a minute. And finally, the statement from your supervisor is very important. Normally, this would be your PI or your line manager. Although if you are fellow and above, we don't require you to do that. But we will consider that in the awarding of the places for anyone that is not a fellow or above. And one of the other way we do select people to go into these courses is the course capacity. And we can go into detail in a bit, but basically depending on the spaces we have available, we'll make the awards. If the course you have selected is already at full capacity, we might be able to offer you an alternative, and we will be in touch with you to discuss that. So this is a translational pathway. So you will be able to download this from our website. There is actually a more extended version with more detail, but it doesn't matter what your research is. So this is divided in discovery science and translational research. The journey is not always this linear, but basically there is milestone that each research project normally needs to go through in order to get to the next stage. So what we want to see in the application form really is an idea of where you think you are in this pathway, where you're going, and how the informatics expertise can help you doing that shift. So having said that, I think my time is over. I'll leave the floor to Mudassar. Mudassar, floor is yours, and let me know when you want the slides to change, and I will do that.
Thank you, Alessandro, and hello, everyone. I'm not sure if all of you have seen the booklet which Alessandro, Jim, and their colleagues at Translation Manchester they have put together, and that includes all the details of the courses and units and all the things which Alessandro was mentioning. And here I will just quickly run through some of those units and leave most of the time for Q&A. But before that, a couple of points I think quite important to start with. As Alessandro has mentioned, these courses are from, these units are from the existing postgraduate courses in the university. So remember that these are not custom designed for you guys. So these are existing courses which you will be coming on to. Secondly, quite few of the courses, MSCs and PG Cert, have units which have significant overlap in terms of content. Sometimes the names are very exact or very similar, but there are key differences in terms of scope, in terms of the depth of the content, and also in terms of the focus of the course, like MSc Genomic Medicine versus MSc Bioinformatics and Computational Biology, which have similar courses, but their scope and their focus is different. So my point is that it's very important to put some thought into making those choices, because given, I mean, too easy and too difficult has been a recurring theme in the last 2 years feedback. So I think it's very important to look through that. We'll try to help you today, but you also read through the booklet. You can talk to me, you can talk to other program directors as well, and decide. This year, actually, we have tried to, in terms of these too difficult and too easy questions to deal with that, we have tried to put some traffic lights system with green, yellow, and red from beginner, intermediate, and advanced courses. But in my opinion, this wasn't an easy exercise for me and Alessandro. And also, I think these traffic lights might not work for everybody. So you do all you can to decide best 2 courses for you. So next one, please. First up is our master's course in bioinformatics and systems biology. This is, I think, our longest running, probably one of the longest in Northwest or country, maybe. One of the longest running course, which have 4 units. First up is programming skills, which is essentially Python programming, which does not assume any background. So you can start from very basics. Based on lectures and tutorials. Also have some programming from projects with biological applications, with the focus on the biological applications. Bioinformatics course is basically start with the fundamentals of bioinformatics, but goes over to tools and techniques, practical tools and techniques for analysis of sequence and structure, phylogeny, and also other omics data. Next one is statistics and experimental design. I think, in my opinion, this is a little bit involved for someone who has no background in maths and stats, but at the same time, it does cover basics like basic statistics and probability distributions, also handling of large data, visualization of the data, hypothesis tests, and also linear regression, I think. But all of it is actually done in R. So at the same time, you get some programming experience in R programming language as well. Computational approaches to biology. The last one is this sounds like quite a generic name for a course, and I think I've been discussing last years with people as well. So you really need to look into the content to decide if this kind of focus is on computational and statistical modeling techniques, differential equations, constraint-based models, network analysis, with the biology and biotechnology applications. Another component of this course is basically dealing with dimensionality reduction, PCA, clustering, and visualization of the data. So next one, please. PG Cert in Clinical Bioinformatics is an online distance learning course with, I would say, lighter touch than compared to MSc Bioinformatics Systems Biology, but also focus on clinical bioinformatics and human genetics, human genomics. So, for example, you have this course on Introduction to Next Generation Sequencing, which again is a very generic name, but the focus of the course here is clinical diagnostics, for example, and gene panels, variant calling, etc., using next generation sequencing techniques. There's a programming course. This is again Python programming, does not assume any background, but would be lighter touch than programming skills in the previous one I discussed. Additionally, there is a health informatics course in this one, which basically goes through electronic health records and issues dealing with electronic health records, not just the technical issues, but also human and organizational issues, which you face while working with electronic health records. Next one, Sandro. We have MSc course in genomic medicine. This course has, I think, some similarities, some overlap with MSc Bioinformatics Systems Biology. But again, as I said, the focus is specialized to genomics for patients. And for example, the bioinformatics, interpretation, statistics, and data quality assurance course is, again, a mix of bioinformatics methods and tools, but also focusing on QA and QC of genomics data, and also goes through a portion of it on basic related statistical concepts explicitly. Again, next generation sequencing is another course which is quite similar to what you have seen in PG Cert in Clinical Bioinformatics. But again, the focus here, you have to go through the content in detail to distinguish exactly. They're quite similar and overlapping. And I think the focus here is on genotyping, genetic variations, copy number analysis, etc. Health informatics is quite similar to the previous one. And there's an interesting addition of economics of genomics and precision medicine. So this is basically model-based economic evaluations of the interventions in terms of with the human genomics. So there must be some economic theory, and I'm not sure about the informatics content of this module, but that's it, another aspect which you are interested into in the genomic medicine. Next one. MSc Health Data Science. This is one of the our very popular have been very popular recently. And again, because of that popularity, there is another PG Cert, which is coming in the next slide, but I'll discuss it here. So there's another PG Cert with very similar 3 courses, which are starting this year, which, but you can decide between level of the course, either PG Cert or MSc course. So the first one is fundamental maths and stats. So this goes through all the basic mathematics and statistics you need for the health, as a health data scientist. But it also specifically goes through linear and logistic regression and related, probably some overlap with the maths and stat course we discussed before in MSc Bioinformatics one. And also, was worth mentioning that all of this is quite hands-on. For example, probability distributions you're learning, you are working with the data. So this is all in R programming language. So you get quite a proficiency in terms of concepts, but also in terms of R, practice with R language as well. Building on this one is the last course, statistical modeling and inference, which is, in my opinion, an advanced course, which covers topics like survival modeling and machine learning, neural networks related to applied in health data. And I don't think there's a strict requirement, but I would think that fundamental maths and stat would act as a prerequisite for this one. Next one. So I think we did discuss the next one. It's very similar in the interest of time. I would not go through. These are very similar courses to MSc Health Data Science, but at the level of the PG Cert, not MSc. So I'll call them all intermediate. So public health and epidemiology don't really need any introductory words these days. There are a few, and I wouldn't go into details, not really my area, but I think the courses on offer in digital health, epidemiology, and practical statistics. This involves quite a bit of informatics and statistics and modeling, if you are interested in this area. Next one. In addition to those MSc and PG Cert courses, we have these research methods units, which are thanks to Fran Hooley and colleagues. So these are freely available. You don't need to register for them, I believe. And they are self-led, self-paced, and available whenever you want. You're quite flexible, and they are done in a way that will give you foot in the door. You have nicely done Jupyter notebooks following quite a good standard, which you can run on your own, not really basically asynchronous mode. But I should mention that these are really the basics. So these three units in statistics and Python programming and machine learning will give you a very good introduction, but just introduction, nothing more. So it's up to you if that's what you want, an introduction to this area before moving forward to more detailed other courses. And next one, also you have these 2 MOOCs available, which you can certainly register in clinical bioinformatics, and also AI for healthcare. Again, these are quite introductory, and you can access them freely online. Next one. I thought putting them, I decided to add this slide where I think most of them might have missed 1 or 2, but basically I've put all those courses and units which I think have overlap. For example, if you consider programming, so programming skills in MSc Bioinformatics Systems Biology, there's introduction to programming in PG Cert in clinical bioinformatics, there's introduction to programming in research methods, but also you have programming in other, maths and stats, you have R programming. So this, you have this choice of, if you're going after the programming in Python, especially R, so you have this choice. You have to look through the detail of the content and decide which one would be best for you. And at the same time, there might be one in more demand than others, so you have alternative choices as well. Similarly, bioinformatics course in both MSc Genomic Medicine, MSc Bioinformatics Systems Biology, also quite a bit of overlap, but at the same time, key differences. So this is something you should be comparing against each other. In terms of maths and stats, I think I forgot to put the statistics and experimental design in MSc Bioinformatics, but you have some overlap with the MSc Health Data Science. So core concepts behind basic statistics and probability and hypothesis testing, basic visualization of the data, working with R. So there's quite a bit of overlap in these courses as well. And within MSc Health Data Science, you have MSc, now you have PG Cert as well. So that's, the things you should be considering, like either is MSc course or PG Cert, so the level. And the focus of the course, of genomic medicine, for example, the bioinformatics course have a specific focus, but MSc Bioinformatics Systems Biology bioinformatics course is more traditional bioinformatics, on methods and tools. Delivery method might be important for some people. So someone would like to be attending lectures and hands-on, others might like more flexible options, online learning, or even research methods where you have a self-paced, self-led options, etc. So these are the things you should really kind of consider before making those 2 choices. I think I'm done with my bit. We will meet you in Q&A. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you, Mudassar. That was a very good overview, and hopefully it has already explained some of the differences to the participants. So if you do have any specific question for Mudassar that we will answer at the end of the event, just start populating the Q&A function on Zoom. Just a little bit of an accuracy, let's say. The research methods units, the 5 credit self-paced units, are actually not free. We do fund them, so you will need to apply to access those. However, the MOOCs, which is those two, oops, sorry, them two, those are free to access, but we will still appreciate if you do attend them to let us know so that we know how many people we directed to those. But for the research methods, you will need to apply to them, and they will be one of the two choices that you get. So you might decide, if you're starting from zero, you might decide to go for an introduction in the research method, and then for something more advanced in the same area. So that was just to clarify that. Next on, we'll have testimonial from one of our previous participants, Mr. Louis Dingle. Unfortunately, Louis cannot be with us today, but because he's on annual leave actually, but he's kindly recorded a video presentation for us, which now I will try to play in a very technical way. So I will silence myself and play, and hopefully everything will be okay. If it doesn't work, just let me know, someone, and let's go for it.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Lewis Dingle. I'm a second-year PhD student at the Blom Mackindo Laboratory, studying the proteomics of human complex wounds. Apologies for not being able to give this talk in person today. However, Ali and the team at Translation Manchester asked if I would say a few words about my experience as a successful beneficiary of the Informatics Training Scheme over the last 12 months. By way of background, my research focuses on complex wounds, which are those which, despite best medical care, fail to reach a healed state. Such wounds are increasingly common, accounting for over 5% of the NHS budget, and affect millions of people both in the UK and indeed around the world. Whilst we understand why wounds heal quite well, we have less understanding about why wounds fail to heal. All wounds, however, share a number of pathophysiological features such as excess neutrophil and protease activity, failure to progress from inflammation to proliferation, and an altered cytokine profile. These shared features suggest a potential shared molecular basis. However, despite much research, no clinically applicable biomarker for healing or failure to heal have been identified and put into practice thus far. Much previous research used traditional proteomics techniques. However, over the last few years, mass spectrometry has now become regarded as the gold standard and offers significant advantages in terms of scope and depth of proteomic analysis at an increasingly affordable cost. However, such mass spec techniques are challenging, complicated, and the proteomic data produced is highly complex, requiring the input of specialists in both mass spectrometry and in the bioinformatic interpretation. As a simple clinician, returning to research was challenging enough. However, when faced with mass spec-derived proteomic data, the task felt even more daunting. Through discussion with Translation Manchester and my supervisors, I applied for the ITS scheme and was successfully allocated a place on 2 of the modules from the MSc in Bioinformatics and Systems Biology. Having studied the modules available, I felt that the combination of these two would provide me with a solid foundation of knowledge in molecular medicine as it relates to bioinformatics. More importantly, it offered a chance to understand the vast array of software, databases and approaches used to interpret bioinformatic data and proteomic data in particular. Combining this with some knowledge of coding felt sensible given its role in handling massive amounts of data in a more practical and user-friendly way. And as a complete coding novice, this again was a prime opportunity. Lastly, the scheme offered the chance to increase my knowledge and bridge the gap between me as the clinician researcher and the experts in bioinformatics and mass spectrometry at the university who I was going to be working with. The time commitment was reasonable, with lectures for each module once a week as well as a workshop usually lasting for a couple of hours on one day a week. The project work associated with the modules for the MSc students was optional for the ITS scheme. However, doing it reinforced the learning from the taught components. Some of this was fairly time-consuming, particularly the coding modules. However, importantly, additional reading and practice certainly is recommended to better understand the informatics databases used or the coding concepts taught that week. This is worth bearing in mind for anyone who's considering applying for and getting the most out of the ITS scheme, and occasionally it did clash with some of my research time. Overall, however, it was an excellent learning opportunity, offered fully funded by the university and through Translation Manchester. My confidence and understanding of proteomic data and bioinformatic data in general was vastly improved, which has led to and continues to contribute to more productive and purposeful discussions with my collaborators and supervisors. Being fortunate enough to use the scheme has certainly driven my research forward, and has importantly given me insight into the potential limitations and methodological flaws that I might have otherwise pursued. I would highly recommend this scheme to anyone who feels their bioinformatics skills need improving, and I'm definitely considering applying again to build further on the knowledge from last year. I'd like to thank again the Translation Manchester team for their support in providing me with the opportunity to use the ITS scheme. Many thanks for listening, and good luck to those who will choose to apply to this great scheme in 2021-22.
Good. I think that was a very good testimony of the experience that Luis had. Luis is a PhD student, but also a registrar in plastic surgery. So he's taken his time off his clinical training to do a PhD. So this is the type of people we want to support, as well as purely academic people. So if you do have a clinical background and have an interest in applying, this is the experience that Luis had, and we hope that this is useful to you. So I think now we can move to the Q&A section, if that's okay. Please populate them in the chat. As I mentioned before, we do have some question and answer that we get frequently asked, so I might start from those until some more are populated in the chat. There is one already in the chat, which is about the contract ending in a year's time. Would I still be eligible to apply if I choose courses that start in the first semester? So as a rule, we normally tend to ask for a year in the contract. So you're starting a year time, so you should still be within it, especially if you pick the first semester unit. But perhaps if you can get in touch with us and give us a little bit more details via email on when it ends, then we can make sure we tick that box when we evaluate your application. But definitely do apply, and if you do have a statement from your supervisor, then if we will be able to monitor your progress, even if you leave, that would be great. So there is no current other question in the chat, but please, if you have any, put them in. But we can move on to the one that we frequently asked. So one of the questions that we're asked very frequently is, when does the teaching start on each of these units? So as you have seen in the booklet and the tables that Mudassar has shown before, this varies depending on the unit. We try to put those dates in the tables. Those are the face-to-face time or online courses in which you will be expected to attend in lectures and workshops. It doesn't include coursework, although, as I will say in a minute, coursework is not compulsory for the participant to the Translation Manchester scheme. So I don't know if Mudassar, you have anything to add to this, but those dates are the one that the students will be expecting to engage with the units. Am I correct?
Yeah, you're right. I mean, dates are dependent on the course. Some of the first semester, second semester, and obviously the research methods there's no dates, so you can do them whenever you want if you are on research methods. Yeah.
Good. Thank you, Mudassar. So there is a couple of more questions that we're often get asked, such as how do we make the decision? And I think I explained that in my presentation already today, but just to reiterate, is the relevance to the translational research, is how this will be beneficial in you to progress your project in that translational pathway, and the support from your line manager or supervisor. The other question is, where can I expect to hear about the outcome of my application? And this is a couple of weeks after the deadline and definitely before your unit starts. Do you need to take part in the assessment? So this is very important. You do not need to take part in the assessment of the units, but if you do want feedback, get in touch with us and we can have a chat with the program director and unit coordinators to see if we can still complete an assessment, and we can provide you with some feedback. But it's not compulsory for you to do the assessments on the course. However, and bringing us to the next question, the online or even face-to-face group discussion, you do need to engage with group work. If you think about this, those are courses that people pay their own money to attend, and if there is any group work is integral to the course, and it would be detrimental if you do not take part to those sessions. So you do need to engage with group work into those units for those that do include one. So how do I access the online course? So this question is also relevant for another question I've just seen in the chat by Roxana. The way this will work is, if you are awarded a place and we confirm that to you and you accept it, what's going to happen is we'll send you a registration form that effectively will register you as a university student within the ITS program and the units that you have been selecting, and you get enrolled. So that means that you get access from on Blackboard to the unit content, and you will be sent all the timetables to attend those courses. For the specifically for the self-paced introductory course, says you will apply in the same way, and you will be also required to register in the same way. But instead of being on Blackboard, they are delivered on is it called Canva? Mudassar, you know probably better than me.
Canvas.
Canvas. Yeah. Canvas, yeah. So you will be given a link on Canvas to access these when they start, which I think is as soon as the semester starts, and then they're self-paced, so you can do them at any time. And it would be great if as soon as you do them, you submit the report that we will send you.
Can I just
So,
add?
yes.
I mean, once the registration is complete and the program directors or the course leaders, they will be in touch with you. So you will be communicated the way the other students, regular students of that course have been. So there will be no vacuum. So you'll be either on Blackboard or through Canvas. So after registration.
Fantastic. Thank you for that clarity. So another question here is about the MOOCs. Again, you don't need to apply for those through us because the MOOCs are freely available, but do let us know if you attend, because I think it's important for us to monitor how many people we send to it. In terms of how much time do you need to commit to the training, again, this changes so much depending on the unit, but bear in mind that those are 15 credit units, with the exception of the self-paced research method units, 5 credit. So it is expected a substantial amount of work to be put towards these. And in terms of face-to-face or online live sessions, those weeks are the one in which you would be expecting the greatest commitment. So before I proceed to the next question, I can see some in the chat. So one is, and I think is one of the next slide, but perhaps we can answer it now. Are these courses taking place online or face-to-face? So as far as I'm aware, and Mudassar, perhaps you can expand on this, there is some courses that are fully delivered online, such as the PG Cert in Clinical Bioinformatics. So yeah, go for it.
There are two things now. So first is beyond our remit, which is a university decision of blended learning or online learning, given the pandemic situation, right? So if you discount that, there are some courses which are normally would be in classes like MSc Bioinformatics Systems Biology. They'll be lectures. PG certs are online or distance learning. They have always been online distance learning. So it's written there. I mean, in the information is there. But other courses which will normally be face-to-face, they have been shifted to online courses last year. So that's on the university's decision. So which is so far, my understanding is it'll be a blended learning, a mix of. I won't say more on that. So let's leave it to what the university decides. Yeah.
Good. No, thank you for that, Mudassar. There is actually a question in the Q&A box that I hadn't noticed before. Thank you, Jim, for pointing that out. Jim, would you like to read them out to Mudassar? I think most of them will be for him.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll just go from the top. So first one is, I'm planning to generate some multi-omics data. Would it be better to wait that I have the data before I start the course, or would it be better to attend the course as soon as possible?
Okay. So there's no chance of talking to the participant, right?
Unfortunately, it's an anonymous attendee, so yeah, there's no way we can invite them to talk.
So multi-omics, I guess, I mean, I would advise to prepare before the data comes to you. So, I mean, if you want to build those skills before the data is there, it would be wise to do it now. How much, what kind of multi-omics data is there? I don't know, but and that will kind of determine which courses you want to decide to take. But I would definitely take them now before it comes to you.
Yeah, so I'd recommend to that person who's asked that question to send us an email if you want more detail, or pop in the Q&A who it is who's asked it, and we can maybe, when we come to the end of the questions, we can maybe invite you on to speak verbally. I'll go on to the next one. So this is from Anna Tierney. Which course or courses would you recommend for someone who has basic experience with R and proteomics data, but wants to advance their understanding and experience?
Again, it's not clear the advanced understanding in what. So I would say, I mean, if you're looking to build more stronger background in maths and stats, or if you want to build on R and proteomics analysis, so in that case, I think it would be bioinformatics probably. But I'm not sure. I mean, advanced understanding in which area?
If you want, I can invite Anna to just talk and see. Hi, Anna. I don't know if you're there. If you're able to just expand a bit on your question.
Hi there. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Excellent. So yeah, part of it will be experience with the programming itself. So using R, becoming more comfortable with using R, expanding my knowledge of the actual programming side, and then obviously how that would then pertain to analyzing large proteomics data sets.
So two things here, Anna. There is no specific R course in this one, which I think we are lacking. Probably next year we should try to add an introduction to R programming course, or more advanced R programming course. There are other avenues, but in this scheme, I think there is none. There is R, pretty much R in statistics and experimental design course. So a lot of R, so you'll get plenty of experience with R, but again, the focus would be on background in statistics and experimental design. If that's what you are interested in, you'll get R experience as a bonus, right?
Yeah, yeah.
In terms of proteomics also, there's a little bit of proteomics in bioinformatics systems biology course, but that it's not a proteomics course. So we are basically missing both. Proteomics has come back a couple of times from questions, so there's no actual proteomics course on R. So, but I think that's the one I mentioned is probably something you can. If you want to expand to Python, then the programming. I mean, you can build on your experience in programming in R and also get some experience in if you have time. But the Python course is right.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you.
Okay.
No worries, thanks for that, Anna. I'll just pop you back into the participants. So the next question is from Michael S. Hoffs. I am not inexperienced in statistical analysis, but would like to bolster my knowledge as well as expand my skill set in stats and experimental design. Would the bioinformatics, interpretation, statistics, and data quality assurance and the statistics and experimental design courses be my best fit?
I will change the order of them actually. So I would put the statistics and experimental design first. That really fits into what you told us. Bioinformatics is good. You get experience with other more wider bioinformatics tools, but that also has some statistics. I'm not sure that you might already know, but the statistics and experimental design is definitely something which you should, which seems like a good fit.
Brilliant, thanks for that. And then two more is one from an anonymous attendee. Considering that there is no mandatory formal assessment, how is a successful completion of a course recorded or assessed?
I can probably pick that up, Dasser, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. But basically, what we will ask you at the end is complete a report saying that you attended and how beneficial it has been for you. And successful completion for us is to hear from you that it has been effective, has been useful, just as Lewis told us in that presentation, and it has been helping you progress in your research in the translational pathway. We do request in determined condition when we award you the place that you do engage the program until the end. So it's compulsory for you to do so, but you don't need to submit the assignment. The benefit of attending it is our success. And I hope that answers your question. That's, do you want to add anything?
Yeah, I must mention that the commitment to attend is key, because that is not just that we are funding this. I mean, Translation Manchester is funding this, but also it affects the course which you are in. Alessandro has mentioned this before, that most of courses have group work, and if some people are turning up for a few lessons and they decide not to, so I think you better take your time to decide and then commit fully. and attendance is key as well, and participation.
And the statement from your line manager and supervisor is also a statement for you to commit to it, as you will read in the terms and conditions that are on our website. Cool. Any other questions?
Yeah, there's just one more from Lenka. Will I be able to apply if I'm going on maternity leave? Could I do the course whilst on maternity leave? Will it be only online sessions? So I know we've answered that last question already, but maybe worth reiterating.
I would say yes, in terms of attendance, right? I think you should.
So I think I agree with Mudassar, is yes. So last year, as you know, because of the lockdown and the furlough, we did accept application from people that were on furlough, and that wasn't an issue. I think what needs to happen here is to make sure that you're able to attend the session. So if they're all online and you're able to engage with them, I don't think there is any reason for you not to apply. If the course you choose has face-to-face sessions, and I think Mudassar, we know that before the application deadline, then in that case, maybe you want to consider it. Do you have any indication how many of these would be face-to-face and how many would not, Mudassar?
No idea yet. So I think for Lenka, it will be safe if there are distance learning courses. If you are selecting those ones, then it's easy. So they surely be online. Others, we are not really sure. I mean, I can't say that they will be online or not.
So in that case, then the PG cert in clinical bioinformatics is going to be certainly online. And the research methods,
PG in health data science, research methods, so you have a few options.
I hope that answered your question, Lenka.
Great. And then there's just one more, which has been in the chat box, and actually it's just in the Q&A box as well now, from Roxana. Is the scheme open for last year PhD students who need to submit shortly after the end of the first semester, for example?
So again, I think that is one of the other questions we have in the next slides. We do ask you to be around for a year from now to make sure that you'll be able to report on the second semester units. I suppose if your selected unit is within semester 1 and we're sure that you're still around, then you could put an application in. It might be not ranked as high as others if we're not sure if it's going to be around. And I hope that answers your question.
Also, in terms of commitment, if you are submitting in that semester, this time is normally quite a interesting time. So you have to really make the judgment on if you can commit to the course.
Yeah, because I remember these are 15 credits unit, so it is quite a lot of commitment going to it.
One has just come in now, but I don't know if you want to go to the next slide first or.
Yeah, I mean, I think most of them have been answered already. We did answer how you choose the unit that is more relevant to you. If you still have questions, do not hesitate to put them either in the chat today or send it to our email to the translation inbox. The fees, as I said, we pay for the fees. So when you get sent the link to register to the course, it's going to be like a university registration, and at the end you should be shown fees as 0. If that's not the case, just let us know, because something went wrong in the admin, obviously, but you should be set as 0 because we cover for those. And last year we had a lot of issues of people not being able to submit the supervisor statement, because obviously it's in the middle of August and we appreciate that. So if you are struggling with time and you can't get hold of your PI or supervisor, you can still submit the application, but you need to send it to us as soon as possible, shortly after that. And this year is a bit better actually, because we got almost a month, so we would be expecting you to be able to get the statement. But if not, and you're worried about it, just get in touch and we can discuss it. In terms of how many places are available, this depends on how many people actually accept the places in the courses, in the official pathway. So we will know more about that at the end of this month. So we don't know just yet. So I have explained already what happens if you get offered a place into the scheme, and I already mentioned that we can offer you an alternative place, an alternative units if that unit that you selected is fully booked. and again, this answer is already been answered. So you wouldn't be expecting you to do a unit if your contract ends during that unit itself.
Yeah. Can I just
Because
mention,
sorry,
can I
Mudassar.
mention that the places are not unlimited, so they are given defined places in each unit, and some units becomes more popular than others. So it happens that there's unit you apply, it's already populated. And how do we decide, Alessandro? Is it first come first serve? There will be some units where you have only few places and quite few applications.
So in that case, the statement from the PI, the relevance to translational research and the progression in the translational pathway will make us decide who gets the place. So, and the commitment that we can see from your application. So is there any other question in the chat, Jim? I think there is another slide here that we can go through, but if there is more in the chat. Yeah.
There's 3 questions in the Q&A, so I don't know if you want to go through them now or just quickly at the end.
Yeah, so we got 8 minutes. Hopefully we'll be able to go through them all. And I think most of these in the slides have been answered already, so we can try to get them all done.
Okay, so first one from Gabrielle. I think this is one following on from the question earlier, which Mudassar answered. Is there likely to be a dedicated proteomics unit in the future?
Yeah, so the answer is we want it to be. We wanted it last year as well, but we don't have it this year. But we cannot kind of promise. But this was one of the things I was thinking that there should be a dedicated unit on proteomics. Quite a few queries were there, so we will try, but we can't promise at this stage.
Perfect, thanks for that. And then next one from Michael. This is just a practical one around the application form. So Michael's working from home, and so is his manager. Does this form need to be physically signed, or can he copy in his manager with submission, or electronic signature, I suppose, would work as well?
Yeah, I think the form allows electronic signature. If you have technical struggles, it's okay. Just put your name on it, send it to us, and CC your supervisor so that we know he is aware of it. So you don't need to scan it in and send it. The form should allow electronic signature. At least that's what we've been told when it was made.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, that's great. And then last one from Roxana. Can we find out which units are being taught in the first semester?
Yeah, so that information is in the tables that Mudassar has shown in the previous slides, and also if you download the brochure, just after the table of content, there is a summary of all units with the start and end dates of the teaching time. Unfortunately, for some of them, we're not sure yet. So if I think a couple of units don't have dates, so if those are the one you're interested in, just get in touch with that, and we'll let you know as soon as we can. And we'll also be updating the booklet anyway. But for the majority of them, the start and end dates should be in that table, those tables.
Yeah, so I put a link further up in the chat to the website, which has got the booklet on there for you to download, but also we'll send it round after this event along with the recording. Just another question which has just come in, Ali. So image analysis / digital pathology / computer vision would also be of interest for the future.
I completely agree. I think this should be in the list definitely next year. Alessandro, you should kindly note this one.
Yeah.
We can easily get 1 or 2 modules on this one.
Yeah, so that's more of a comment, so we can take that feedback and look at that for the future. But that's all the questions in the Q&A.
Fantastic. I think we got these. We got 5 minutes and those questions to be answered. Mudassar, do you want to get any of them? Those are the share slides. RNA-seq.
Yeah, RNA-seq one is, I must mention that none of these courses is as such an RNA-seq analysis. Either you're looking for a basic analysis pipeline or differential expression, etc. There is some the closest one would be bioinformatics course in MSc in bioinformatics and systems biology. there is some transcriptomics, but I would not say this is an RNA-seq. So the course is much wider. So it will not go into fine details of RNA-seq analysis, unfortunately.
And what about the R-based courses for site of
yeah.
lattice data sets?
Answer would be no. I mean, our programming is in a couple of courses where we have seen, but the site, specifically site of data sets, I do not think that there is one. So answer would be, I think, no.
Okay.
Previous coding and informatics skill required depends on the course, I think, but most of them not. So the courses we have in MSc Bioinformatics and Systems Biology, in PG Cert, they assume no background. So definitely start from the very beginning. Modality, synchronous and asynchronous, which one? So research methods are asynchronous. I think some others might be asynchronous, but the master's courses are synchronous, either online or face-to-face. But there are some tutorials as well. So lectures, there'll be lectures, there will be some tutorial sessions.
Great. I think all the, yeah, go for it.
I'm not sure. I mean, what are the criteria for grant application? What that means?
Yeah, so those I explained before, the way in which we select the applicants are translational research, relevance and progression. So I think all the other questions have been answered already. So unless there is any other question in the chat, and Jim, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think there is.
No, I can't see any.
Good, so then I'll stop sharing my screen. I'll thank everybody for attending today. A special thank to Mudassar for really explaining the differences between the course. A big thank you to Jim to putting these all together. And we look forward to receive your application by the 11th of August. Thank you very much for coming.
Yeah,
and
thank
bye.
you, Alessandro, for organizing everything. Thank you.
No problem. Thank you.